A couple of weeks ago, we did a video in which we did a cost estimate for doing a one-year MBA program in India. Yeah, I'm talking about the PGPX or the EMBA programs at the IIMs or the one-year MBA program at ISB. Take a look at that video. The link to the video is provided in the description and it's also available here for a quick reference, right? In this video, we're going to be answering the next equally important question. Does it make sense? Is it financially a sensible decision to do a one-year MBA program in India, right? You've seen the cost, let's see whether it makes sense. We're essentially going to arrive at a payback period for it. It actually is not probably the appropriate thing to do, right? Some people will call it's a sacrilege to even talk about an MBA in terms of the monetary value at all, because an MBA offers you much more value. The kind of career opportunities that you have, the kind of companies that you will be able to work with, the kind of job profiles that you will get is possible only with an MBA, which would not have been possible with an undergraduate degree or a postgraduate degree other than an MBA from a top business school, right? Think of working in a McKinsey, possible for a few IITians, but it's probably not too uncommon when you go to a business school of this kind. Think of working for a Goldman Sachs, not the back office of Goldman Sachs, but I'm talking about the front end Goldman Sachs or JP Morgan or any of this investment bank, hedge fund, those kind of roles, right? Not even talking about these fancy ones. Think of joining a CXO role, taking up a CXO role 3 to 5 years from the time you graduate. That's possible only with these MBAs. So an MBA should not be talked purely in terms of money. But having given all of this talk, let us also figure out whether it makes financial sense, right? Something could be really good, but if it does not make financial sense, we're not going to be doing it. Let's take a look at what are the costs involved. We'll quickly run through the costs again, and then let's see what is the salary that you're going to get, and I'm going to look at what is the net inflow, and let's compute the payback period. Having computed the payback period, I'll tell you the assumptions that I made and what you need to watch out and how you should take that payback number with a pinch of salt. Let's get started, right? Here is what I'm going to walk you through. This is the figure. You know the cost. We've done it in that video. Go back to the video if you want to go through that video. These are the mean starting salaries for graduates of the one-year MBA program from Ahmedabad, Bangalore, Calcutta, ISB for the academic year 2018-19. Right? The least number that we are talking about is the 23 lakhs. Right? Let's go with that number, 23, 22 lakhs. It doesn't get lower than that. So this is the salary that you're going to get. Now let's look at how does a payback actually work out. Right? Recall the last video? The cost, the outflow for you was about 35 lakhs to do this one-year MBA program. We didn't count ISB into picture. For ISB, the academic fees itself was 35 lakhs. We're looking at other colleges like Ahmedabad, Bangalore, Calcutta, and it was about 25 lakhs. Add 10 lakhs to your living expense. That is how this 35 lakhs came into picture. Made one assumption. I've assumed that your pre-MBA salary was 10 lakhs. So it's an opportunity lost. So you lost essentially 45 lakhs. So you invested 45 lakhs into this MBA. Recall this number again. 23 lakhs is the least starting average salary of these schools. Let's just reduce it by another 1 lakh to play it safe, right? So if it is 22 lakhs, you have a net inflow of 12 lakhs. 10 lakhs is what you earned pre-MBA. Post-MBA, you're going to be starting off with 22 lakhs at least, which means your net inflow is 12 lakhs. I'll give you the caveats to these numbers in a while. And then I'm assuming that this net inflow is increasing at the rate of 10%, which means that if you're talking about a 24 lakh salary, the net salary increase needs to be only 5%, which is actually lesser than the inflation rate in India, which is something that you should expect to get if you're not going to do badly in the job. If you do on an average as well as what an average guy does in the job, you should get at least a 5% increase in salary. That would translate a 10% increase in net inflow each year. I've assumed the interest rate to be equal to 10%, right? So what are all the assumptions I made? I've taken the cost to be equal to 35 lakhs, which includes the fees and living expenses. I've assumed your pre-MBA salary to be 10 lakhs. So I've invested 45 lakhs into your MBA. I've assumed that you're going to be starting off with an average gross salary of 22 lakhs, which is a net inflow of 12, which was 10 pre-MBA. Now it is 22. So you're getting an additional 12 lakhs each year. And I'm assuming the net inflow to increase by 10%, which means if your salary goes up by 5%, the net inflow will go up by 10%. And lastly, the rate of interest, what you'll be paying as interest is going to be equal to 10%. These are the calculations I've done. Then the payback period works out to 4.2 years. In a little more than 4 years, you take back all the money that you have put into your MBA. Some caveats to keep in mind and why I've made some of these assumptions. I've gone with a gross salary. Why did I go with a gross salary? different companies, different people have different tax structures, right? Some companies might play it as incentives, some of them might give it to your stock options. The only thing which you can go as a common thing is basically the gross. You might have loans which might give you different kinds of tax incentives. You might have different kinds of investments where your tax rate might be reduced significantly than what the marginal tax rate is. So all of those things play out differently for different people. What is common is what is known for all of us is what your gross salary is. And I've been conservative in the gross salary estimate. And I've taken the pre-MBA salary for anyone with 4 to 5 years of experience from an IT sector, likely to be about 10 lakhs. If you're working for example, one of the Navaratna PSUs, this number is going to be much higher for you. To that extent, your payback period is going to be higher. In reality, because this 12 lakhs is the gross inflow, excess inflow I'm talking about, translate it to probably about 6 to 7 lakhs as the net component. Your lifestyle is going to go up to some extent, your tax component is going to go up to some extent. So essentially you will have a net inflow of only about 6 to 7 lakhs. In that case, this payback period is going to be a little higher. And this 10% increase is a very, very conservative estimate. You do well in the job, the incentive components many times might be much higher than that. So rest assured, is this MBA going to make sense even if you end up being an average performer post an MBA? The investment made into the 1-year MBA and into India definitely makes a lot of sense. So don't even think about it. The only thing that you need to worry about is how are you going to get into this program, right? Your profile is already a given. You can't change that. Your undergraduate study, undergraduate percentages, what you scored in 10th, 12th, how many years of experience you have, what role you do right now, which company you work for, all of that is like sealed and given to you. You can't change that. 2 things you possibly can change and you should change. One is your GMAT score and second is how well you write your application essays, right? These are 2 things that you need to invest on. Get started with your GMAT. Get started with Wizako's GMAT course. Have any queries, any doubts, anything that you'd like to discuss about this, shoot a mail to us. The email ID is learn@wizako.com or reach us on the numbers which are appearing on the screen, 9500 48484. Best wishes, get into one of these places, make a difference to your career and to your life.